Hello. So, another great star has passed away. Val Kilmer, at the age of 65, died 8 days ago after having struggled for about 10 years with a really hard illness, heavy, pretty terrible illness. Yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't want to make. It took me a few days to process this. Yeah, when I heard of the news, I was quite sad, and we have lost several great actors lately, like Gene Hackman, for instance, who also I was a fan of. But Gene Hackman, he belonged to another generation. He became famous way before I was born. So, well, before I was born, let's say, I guess French Connection around that time, which was 6 years before my birth. But Val Kilmer, he actually didn't become a real star until in the 90s, or after the Doors movie. So it was around the time when I entered my teens, that he really became a big household name. Of course, first time I saw him was in Top Gun. I saw that movie. I think it came out around the same time as it. Well, maybe a little later in Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia. Maybe it was 86, 87. I don't know. Anyway, I was around 9, 10 years old then. I love that movie. It really left a huge impression on me. Even though in hindsight, politically, I wouldn't really. I'm not one of the people that really like be on that side, to put it that way. But still, I like it. Nonetheless. Yeah, I'm glad that I'm one of the people that are able to see past the political side and just enjoy a movie that I think is good. And the performances, of course, I think Val was really, of course, very, very, really good in that movie. But actually, my favorite roles, his roles. First one is in a movie that I felt that whole movie and his part in it were and are still overlooked, and that is Thunderheart from '92. Really, really nice, really good movie, and what a performance by Val there. Yeah, he was he quite you might say he made the whole movie really, really watchable. Otherwise the story is good, it's well crafted and all but there isn't that much going on in the whole movie. It's a movie based on atmosphere and certain visions, some fantasy scenes and stuff. Even that's also another reason why I liked it. Or I also really have been a lover of Native American culture for a while. Yeah, ever since my early teens. But yeah, well, himself being also part Native American, I guess it helped make him look and feel more authentic in that role, in that part. And my second favorite, of course, I watched that movie when it first came out here, when I had just arrived more or less to Oslo. That was, I guess, in late '93 or early '94. I'm not sure. That was Tombstone. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was late '93 probably, but yeah, I might be wrong. Doesn't matter. Yeah, that movie made a huge big impression on me. I really enjoyed it. And Val's performance as Doc Holliday, that it was just unforgettable. It wasn't just entertaining; it was really deep and powerful and emotional and you name it. I mean, the last scene where he's dying in some hospital somewhere, that was just too big for words. When he tells Wyatt Earp in Kurt Russell's interpretation, he just tells him, "Go live your life. Don't think about anything else. Just live your life. It's not worth it. Just yeah, getting like you gotta get past grudges and things like that, and some silly kind of obligations, responsibilities, whatever. It's not worth it." So then he tells him he was in love once long ago. It was his cousin, I think, when he was very young, and that also tells a lot, because Doc Holliday was also in this movie. He had a female companion, but it means like he never loved any woman that he was with as an adult. So yeah. Anyway, getting a little carried away here. So that was my second favorite part, one of two, and then yeah. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. I liked him as Iceman, but that was, that role was pretty much, an action role. It wasn't so deep. He was cool. He looked good and all that. But in his last appearance in the Top Gun Maverick movie, which I watched in the cinema also, 22. Yeah, he had a cameo, which was also very powerful. His farewell performance, it was very emotional to watch. Sorry, to see him in that state. But yeah, another thing I want to say is like, it's the same when somebody dies. Everybody suddenly is their biggest fan. But I read when he was in the in the heyday or in the prime of his career, he wasn't really that well liked by some co-stars and directors, or they did kind of have some bad things to say about him. And yeah, I of course we can we can never know how he was like too. But yeah, certain co-stars said that he wasn't that available emotionally, or didn't like to socialize with his co-stars. But yeah, I mean, I can understand that some of the greatest actors were like that, like Henry Fonda, for instance. Yeah, so he actually didn't get along with Marlon Brando, which is interesting. Um, yeah, another movie that I like, which he starred in, co-starred with Michael Douglas, was The Ghost in the Darkness, where he had one of the two. Well, he was the one that was actually the leading role. I mean, Michael Douglas just appeared like in maybe 30 minutes or something the whole movie. So yeah, that was a really pretty beautifully shot movie, really beautiful to watch. And that was pretty much it. Also, he was in The Saint. That was all right. That was not a bad one flick, but yeah, he that was perhaps his last really good performance. And in the early, I also liked Salt and Sea. I remember that, watching that, but it was now many years since. And that was maybe his last really interesting part, from 2002. And after that, he just drifted into these comedies and pretty much nonsense stuff. And then he wasn't really getting many roles at all after that, pretty much. So yeah, I just refuse to watch those parts because I know that's not the best of him. That was not the real Val Kilmer, you know. That was not. By then, just a worn out, uh, Hollywood, a guy who had been chewed and spit out by Hollywood, and yeah, so it was sad just how the things went for him in the end. I think he deserved a better ending to his career, but in the end, well, let's say he did get it with Maverick movie, but it was just a cameo after all. So I wish he would have gotten more parts in really good movies after he turned 50. Yeah, but that's how it went. I mean, yeah, just really charismatic actor and person, obviously. The only really major movie I think I didn't watch with him was Willow. I never watched that. Maybe I would like to see it, but it is kind of sword and sorcery kind of type movie, which now I feel I have grown out of. Like way back when I was in my 20s, I would have liked to see it, but now, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I think it is just a curse for everybody. Like, yeah, I mean, look at Keanu Reeves, for instance. Everybody who really has outstanding looks and outstanding charisma and everybody like that. I mean, Keanu has done pretty well, but he also had to go through a period where he was not getting good roles in better movies. He had to wait, and slowly come back, and luckily for him, he got that comeback, which Val never really did. I mean, as I said, one cameo, maybe how long, 2-3 minutes in Maverick, that's not really a comeback. But by then he was seriously ill, so it was too late for a real comeback. So yeah. Anyway, as I said, it's hard to be really like to stand out, to be special, even in Hollywood. It's much easier for people who like Matt Damon and Russell Crowe and George Clooney, who don't look really that special, let's say, or it's much easier for them because I think also the average man might find them more relatable than somebody who looks way better than the average people, and has this crazy charisma, really out of this world charisma. It's mostly women who really gravitate to these actors, and then of course mostly for romantic reasons they fall in love with them, and once they start losing their looks, yeah, it's over. That infatuation stops, of course. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just, I mean, I actually had no idea Val was a Christian Scientist, and I think he was also quite picked on for that by the some of the media and stuff, the subreddits and whatnot, social media kind of made fun of him, I think, for that, and for the fact that he gained so much weight later on. But yeah, it's just the way it goes. Anyway, yeah, so those were my thoughts on this really quite special actor. Also, I must mention Heat, of course, really great movie, maybe even the best. I mean, The Doors, of course, he had that one, Jim Morrison, already mentioned, but Heat, such a classic, and his role there, really also very powerful, like especially the last scene when he's returning to his wife and kid, and then he finds out he cannot, he has to go and disappear really powerful performance in that scene as well. So yeah, it's just as I said, a shame he wasn't able to continue. I think after that movie, At First Sight, that was a flop. It was meant to be a nice romantic movie about a blind guy and a normal, let's say, girl who meet and fall in love, but it was a flop, really. And I think after that, just he was no longer really a true A-list actor, and yeah, just got a few roles after that where he could showcase his talent, really, unfortunately. So yeah, he was still too young for that to happen, but anyway, all right. I think the fact that he became so famous, as I said, when I was, everything like that happens in your teens is very special. You remember it for the rest of your life. It really means a lot because it's such a beautiful part of your life, And Val, you were one of those things in my life. All right. Farewell.